Hey, it's Serena, and I wanted to have a little chat with you today about social media shaming of businesses, as well as, just sort of managing customer complaints and how you can use these tools as a way to shine and to really sort of over deliver for your customers. And I've got some anecdotal stories and just sort of my own opinions and whatever. So just kind of to give you an idea of my personal bias in this, before I started out in branding, before marketing, my education was in broadcasting. So before all of that, like my origin story is in customer service. I started out as a shitty telemarketer. I moved into working at a grocery store. I worked at a Zellers back when they were open. I've had a lot of phone jobs. I've had office jobs. Essentially, every job I've ever had has come down to service in some fashion or another. So it's something I'm really passionate about, and with that passion comes a little bit of a soapbox. So I do get really opinionated. I have super high standards, and I can be a bit of a bitch. So let's just kind of keep that in mind as I share my stories with you. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I head into a Subway, our local Subway across the street, and there's one person working. It's a dinner shift, and she is slammed. There is like a lineup of probably like 8 people. Everything is moving so slowly because one person cannot serve 8 people at once, and so on. Even 2 of them, it would have taken them a little bit. So to do something as quickly as making a sandwich, I think the entire ordeal was about like half an hour. And another time that I went in, same location. I've walked out. I've also had it where it took me 40 minutes to pick up 2 subs. Like essentially what it comes down to is that the owner of this location is putting profits before people, which is like one of my big sticklers. And not only, and when I say people, I don't just mean his people who have to deal with the pissed off people like me who are in the line. And I'm actually one of the nicer ones because I bitch and complain, but it's actually on their behalf because I'm like, hey, this isn't fair that they're doing this to you. Whereas other people are like, I have to wait. So yeah, not only are they really like setting their people up to fail and because they have to deal with like shitty, angry customers, but they're also pissing off all those shitty, angry customers who are people who are from the neighborhood. This is not like a truck stop where they're going to pass through and they're never going to come back again. This is a location that is like, it's a neighborhood Subway. So people are going to come there again and again. And this manager, for whatever reason, is putting, I don't know, what's minimum wage, $10 an hour. He is putting $10 an hour as more of a priority than servicing both his customers and his staff. And I think that's really, really uncool. And then my second anecdote, and I'll kind of tell you how these come together because they're going to sound a little different. My second anecdote, I've been getting calls from this telemarketer. I've been ignoring them because I Googled it, found out that it was an insurance company calling on behalf of my bank, but really it's just my name's been sold on a list, let's be honest. And after 3 weeks of being called multiple times a day, I completely lost it, and I told the woman off today, hung up, and then in both of these cases, I took to Twitter to shame them. So I went to Subway and a couple weeks ago, whenever this incident happened, and basically said like, hey, totally uncool that this location is understaffed again, really unfair to the people, both the customers and the staff, and it's exploitive, and that really pisses me off as a customer. So what are you going to do about it? And they said, oh, can you please fill out this comment form and blah, blah, blah. So I filled out that form. I gave my personal details and everything else, heard nothing. So a week later, I was like, yo, Subway, what up? Just wondering if you're planning on doing anything about this. And they're like, oh yeah, just give us a call. So now if you notice that, like, one, the fact that they didn't follow up is kind of shitty. But 2, now they're putting the onus on me, who I'm busy, I got other things to do. They're putting the onus on me to follow up on a complaint that is really not even about like my service. I'm not trying to get anything out of this. I want change for this location, for these people. Like I have a teenage son, and I've explicitly said to him, like, you cannot get a job at that Subway because they don't treat their people well. And, it's probably, theoretically, it would have been one of the better places around us to be able to work, but there's no way because they set their staff up for exploitation. Okay, so telemarketers at my bank. So today I get on Twitter and I'm like, yo, BMO, I've been with you guys for like 10 plus years. And when I signed up, I didn't expect you to sell my deets off to telemarketers, and that's not cool. I'm not very happy with you. I got a message pretty much right away being like, hey, we're really unhappy to hear this. I'm going to send you a comment right now, or a private message right now. Can you give me a call? Or can I give you a call? So he messaged me, I gave him my number, and within about 20 minutes, my phone rang with a dude being super apologetic, taking my name off lists, updating my file, and the call was recorded, so like they're now accountable, they're on the hook. And I was like, just so you know, Canada's Spam Act is pretty strict, so you didn't have my consent to pimp my name out to people, and like you're breaking the law. So yeah, apologies were had, whatever, and that was great. So two different companies, and they're big companies, right? Like these are, you know, Bank of Montreal and Subway are like, they're massive brands. They've got staff and they handle my complaints in completely different ways. And one of them, I'm still kind of feeling like a big fuck you to Subway, I'll be honest. If they don't follow up with me after that, taking the time to fill out their shitty form and everything else, I'm going to go in and tell the manager he's an asshole. Like, it's like, what he's doing is really uncool. In the case of BMO, I got off the call and I was like, hey, you know what? I've been with them for 10 years and they totally sold my name, and like, I should feel really shitty about that, but they actually made me feel really good about the experience. And now I'm like, yeah, okay, we're cool, BMO. So it's kind of funny how, you know, like in theory, like one thing was a personal thing to me. One thing is something I observed in another company. Both things kind of made me mad, but the experience was very different. So how does that apply to sort of like customer service in general and you as a business owner and all of that kind of stuff? So Twitter shaming or Facebook shaming or however social media shaming for businesses is a really great way to get results. Because when you're sending in a complaint and you're filling out, you know, when I filled out that shitty Subway form, like, you know, some guy like read that and deleted it. I bet it never even made it to the restaurant. But when you do it publicly, and this is like, it's a bit of a dick move, but when you do it publicly, they're accountable. Suddenly people are watching and they're paying attention and they're like, oh, hold on a minute, maybe I've got to give this a little bit of consideration. Now, if you're talking about like your mom and pop shop, the corner store down the street, someone has wronged you or whatever, they're not big companies like Subway or BMO. You could pick up a phone and actually talk to like a real live person without going through 500 menus and whatever. Then don't be a jerk. Like, make that call, make that effort. Like, don't use social media as like your first response as a complaint tool for like the little guy. But when you've got like a big company and they have a team, you know, that's totally dedicated to managing those channels and whatever. That's their relationship building tool. So by all means, shame them away and cross your fingers that they're going to take care of you. On the flip side of that, if you've got something nice to say, do that on social media too. Oh, hello, whoever that was, and sending a little like my way. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. So yeah, I mean, like, sorry if you hear that sound in the background, that's just my cat scratching her thing. Anyway, I put a post up on Twitter a couple weeks ago about how when I get really nervous going to network events, and so I use this anti-stress or stress relieving roll-on from Sage. Hi, Christine. And so I tweeted, I was like, hey, if you get nervous going to meetings, why don't you try this aromatherapy roll-on, blah, blah, blah. Sage's is awesome. And they wrote me back, and they felt really good, and I felt really good, and everybody's really happy. So, you know, you should really be using it both ways. Don't just use social media to shame people. But as a business owner, whether you are kind of like that small mom and pop shop and some guy has gotten on social media to slam you, or if you become like bigger and whatever, and you don't have a team who's managing it for you, here is the thing. You can take the Subway approach, or you can take the BMO approach. So the Subway approach, where it's like, oh yeah, give us a call, whatever, where you're putting the onus on them, is very lackluster. It feels pretty low investment. Subway does not give a shit about my business. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? So, and that was really, really apparent in terms of how they handled my complaint. BMO, on the other hand, for them to take charge of the situation, to contact me, to take the onus, to take responsibility for this crappy thing that happened, that made me feel really good. I feel like I matter to the, I mean, ultimately, I'm like one of a bajillion customers. I don't really matter, like in the big scheme of things. I'm not one of, I'm back. Sorry, I disconnected for a second there. I'm not one of their 1% clients who, you know, are bringing in bajillions of dollars into the bank or whatever. I'm a little guy. So, I mean, I know I don't ultimately matter, like, in terms of, like, me, the individual, but they made it feel like I did. They gave me the experience as though I did. And that really matters to me. I think that's really important. So as a business owner, I guess that's the third option. So you have the Subway option of putting the onus on them, which frankly, they've already done by making the complaint in the first place. You have the BMO option where they're actually saying, hey, yo, let me give you a call. Let me take responsibility, and that's really fantastic. And the third option is to ignore them altogether, and I would really discourage you from doing that, because nothing quite says fuck you to your customers like not answering their complaints. That's a super, super big no-no. So having this sort of public discussion of how you handle a complaint, and this is, of course, if you're able to do it diplomatically, because some people get a little hot under the collar. There was... a couple of years ago, there was like this, some TV special, I think it was like one of the Gordon Ramsay shows, and it was like a restaurant they did, and then someone put in like a crappy Yelp complaint, and then like they had like a super public meltdown. I don't know if you remember that. I don't remember, they were in Arizona. It was like both hilarious and horrifying to watch, because it was just like it just kept escalating and escalating, and they were like writing some really, really crazy stuff on their Facebook page, and yeah, like, and then they were like, oh, we got hacked. They weren't hacked, they're just loose cannons. That's neither here nor there. But those are like, these are the opportunities for you to shine. These are the opportunities for you to leave a lasting impression, for you to make your customers feel like they matter, where you can publicly say, like, you know, hey, I'm really sorry we did that. That's not the experience we want to give. And you don't have to like if you're going to do something like a comp or a discount, or like however you're making it up to somebody, and you don't even have to do that. Like in neither case, you know, nobody gave me anything. They just basically apologized. How you handle that, how you manage that discussion, how you show up and take responsibility and ownership of the customer experience, it really, really makes a difference in not just how your customers feel, but how they'll talk about you after. Because here I am, like, you know, 20 minutes after this phone call with BMO, and I'm having this conversation saying, hey, they did this shitty thing. I still like them, but I still got my big F you for Subway. And that was like 2 weeks ago. So you would think that like I'd be over it, but I'm not. So, you know, rather than, you know, when you have these complaints come in, if you do, I mean, some people just give exemplary service and there was no complaints, or they handle their complaints really privately because their people don't Facebook or Twitter shame them or whatever, and that's fine. But if you do have them coming in, rather than getting defensive or rather than going on the offense, use it as an opportunity to educate, use it as an opportunity to shine, have a public, like, respond to them publicly as much as you can, so that you're showing other people, because it's not a one-on-one conversation anymore. The second someone takes to social media to like wag a finger at you, you need to publicly respond, not do it just privately, because people are watching. All of your followers, all of their followers, they're watching the dialogue. And like if things get hot, you can... Sorry, I cut out again. If things get hot, you can guarantee they're going to go to the top and they're going to kind of follow along and see what's going on. And you know, everyone likes a little drama and gossip, so they're going to get right in there. So, yeah, don't get defensive. Don't get on the offense. Use it as a relationship building tool. Use it as a way of showing that you're trustworthy, showing that you actually care about your people and that you stand behind your product or your service. It's an opportunity for dialogue and make your people feel taken care of. So I'll hang out for like 30 seconds. If anyone wants to add any questions on this in the box, I know there's only a couple of you on right now. If you are watching the replay and you come up with questions, I will come back to this message. I'll be away this weekend, but on Monday I'll come back and I'll take a peek and answer anything that comes through. So if you have any customer service questions, because I've been doing this for a long time, like I've been in customer service now for 22, 23, I don't know, over 20 years, because I'm old. So if you have any questions on that front, feel free to add it to the box, and I will make sure to check back and answer. So yeah, without further ado, thank you so much for tuning in and joining me and watching this video, my giant customer service rant. It is something I'm super, super passionate about, so I have a tendency to kind of get on my soapbox and wave my fingers a lot. If you heard that little clackety clack sound, it's like my bracelet beads jangling in the background because I get all worked up. So anyhow, that is that. I'm going to get out of here. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to add them in the comments and I will get to them when I get back. Mwah! Okay, take care.